Life FM, as for the drive home on this Monday afternoon, joined by Jake and Nico from Dornford Building Group.
Maz for the drive home, building for life.
Hey guys, how are you doing on this Monday?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Nice. I always think, the Monday blues is a thing, but then I feel like we're always just so joyous when we do this segment. And I have to admit, I'm always joyous on a Monday anyway. I love being in the studio, but no Monday blues whatsoever when you guys are around. We are chatting renovation versus knockdown and rebuild. What's worth it in 2025 in this current climate? Nico, let's get started talking about cost comparisons between the two, the pros and cons there.
Yeah, sure thing. It's something that we're getting a lot of questions asked, particularly around, extensions, renovations. Is it worth doing, or should I just knock down, rebuild, start from scratch? And it is a difficult question to answer. Both have their pros and cons, and the best option really does depend on your individual circumstances, because there's a lot of different factors that come into play. There's got things like budget, the size of what you want to do, what's the resale value going to be. And so that's the sort of questions that we want to talk about, and just arm people listening to the show with the information that they need to make informed decisions if they're thinking about doing either, a rock down, a rebuild, or extending or renovating.
So a lot of people have a stigma that extensions are cheap and they can just chuck them on the back of a home, renovate the home. Now, after COVID, prices have gone up a significant amount. So what we sort of tell clients when we're designing and when we're building for extensions versus new builds and renovations, because we see when we are in the design field, we win a lot of extensions, giving them pricing, and they're like, well, we can build a new house for that. Why don't we just knock down and rebuild? Now, they might already have a 200 square metre home, adding 100 squares to it, which makes it 300 square metres. To build a 300 square metre home, it could cost the same as doing this renovation and extension to the property. So we are always in this sticky situation. It is always a little bit more expensive to knock down the home. But in saying that, the sort of price ranges we give people for an extension is anywhere between $4,500 upwards, where new homes can range from $2,500, $700 to upwards of that. So, but that is custom home pricing. That is not volume build prices. I think you can get a little bit cheaper going through volume, but custom stuff, that is sort of where it's sitting at the moment.
Which is what Dornford specialises in. So it's more looking at, you want certain rooms to look a certain way, or you want certain fixtures and certain things like that. It's not a cookie cutter model. It's very much a unique home that you've designed and then built, which is obviously why it's going to cost a little bit more as well. So when it comes to things like zoning and resale value, how do they compare when looking at either renovating or knocking down and then rebuilding?
So this one's more location specific, because there's a lot of different rules and regulations depending on where you live.
If you're council?
Correct. So if you're in a heritage area, for instance, there's a lot of things that you can't necessarily do just in terms of, starting from scratch, as well as doing extensions. You need to keep the character and things like that. So they're all considerations that will be, I guess, taken into account when you're looking at what you want to do and
Can you
what's
research that
possible.
before coming to a builder? Like, can you look that up, to know whether or not you're in a heritage
area? That's definitely something you can do, and you can also just call your council, ask to speak to someone in the planning department, and then you can have a chat with them and say, hey, look, this is what I'm wanting to do. I'm not really sure what's involved, and they can walk you a little bit through the process and give you an idea of what you can and can't do. They won't be able to give you specifics. You'll need to engage an expert for that, but they'll be able to give you a general idea. So to start you on your journey.
Yeah, good head start kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, so that's zoning, and then resale value. How does that? Because I guess that's the big question, isn't it? Is it worth my while spending a bit more to build a new home if it's going to be a better investment long term?
Yeah. Tricky question.
Yeah.
It is.
There's probably no one size fits all.
It does depend where you're at. So if you're in Unley or Burnside, where there are people doing very nice extensions to their property and upgrading the home that they've got, it can be very beneficial for these sort of people. But let's say you're in Morphett Vale and you're spending $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 on an extension. You might as well look at spending maybe an extra $200,000 to knock the house down and build a brand new home. Everything is going to be brand new. It's not going to be tired. It's not going to be ran down. The footings are going to be brand new. Everything is new about it, and it's going to last you another 50, 100 years. So it is going to be something that you have to weigh up your odds and to see what you can get out of it.
Yeah.
But another thing is like in the area, what is selling? What is not selling? Are people wanting to buy new homes? Are people subdividing the block and putting 2 new homes on it? Like, it is something that you guys are going to have to come up with.
So you have to do a bit of research, really. Like, it's not just go and make a decision off a whim. Like, actually maybe spend a couple of months looking at, what other people are doing in the area and that sort of thing as well.
Potentially speaking to a real estate agent to see, cool, hey, what could this potentially add in value?
Yeah.
Like, we are finding there is a lot of value in doing these renovations and extensions. But when it comes to, we normally say about 60-70% of the budget. Let's say you've got $1 million home that you want to build, but the extension is going to cost you about $500,000-$600,000. Generally, then we'd start to say, okay, cool. Is this something you want to look at to spend, an extra $400,000 to get a brand new $1 million home, or do you want to just do this $500,000 extension and then looking at what the cost implications are? And I guess
it depends on like what they want to do with the house as well. If they're going to sell it or if they want to keep it in the family for the next 50 years or whatever it's going to be. What do you guys find is most popular? Can you put it down to one, or is it just 50-50?
Both are the same thing. So I'm doing one personally, but I've decided to do an extension.
Yeah.
And
initially you were thinking about doing a new home.
Correct. So, but I've decided to do the renovation extension sort of route, and then we'll live there. It'll be beautiful and whatnot. So it is up to each family what they want to do. Why are you doing it? Do you want a brand new home, or are you happy with the existing home? Does it look nice? Is it tired? Do you need to renovate it? Because renovating a property also costs like $3,000 a square meter.
And there's a lot of, I guess, hidden costs and things. We've touched on it previously, but when you're touching existing stuff, bringing everything up to code can cost a bit of money. So we've got clients who we've done both with. We've done the feasibility assessments if they decided to go the knockdown-rebuild stage, but then we've also gone and they've decided to do the extension. So it is... at the moment, it's very hard to say 50-50 depending on which way they go.
Just quickly, I know I need to let you guys go in a sec, but looking at sustainability, and that's a big thing for a lot of people at the moment now, is it more sustainable to just extend, obviously, because you're not getting rid of all of the existing materials? Is that more sustainable in the long term, or maybe not? I don't know.
Yeah, in terms of energy efficiency, it's definitely easier starting from scratch.
Okay,
Because when you've got an existing space, especially if it hasn't been built well or it's old and it's just not up to the current standards, it's very hard to get energy efficiency. Sustainable living in that sense. So it really does depend. We've said this pretty much every time this
it depends. It's
episode.
different every time.
Yeah, correct. Because every home is so different. Like your home might have really good bones and be able to, handle a good renovation pretty easily, or it might be at the point where it's going to be way more sustainable for you to actually just start from scratch.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. So next time we're going to be looking at the building timeline from contract to handover stages. So looking at everything that kind of happens step by step, what the different delays can be, how to stay informed from, slab, frame, lock up, fix, all of that sort of stuff. So we're going to be getting into that next time. And if you've got a question for Jake and Nico from Dornford Building Group, let us know. 0430 25 1079. Guys, thank you, and we'll catch up soon.
See you then.
Good.